What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO. And while trying to figure out what deck I should bring you guys today, I thought back to a couple days ago where I brought you an Octillery deck and thought, you know what? What's better than one Octillery deck? Two Octillery decks. Now, this is a deck obviously centered around Alolan Ninetales and Octillery, and this was an idea given to me by Orbom. Now, notice I said given, not stolen. He actually did pass me this list, although admittedly it was through no small amount of blackmail, extortion, and I may or may not have called in some favors to the Mafia. But regardless, he still gave me the list, so yes, given, not stolen. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, helps us out a ton, and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And as for the question of the day, now Octillery is a pretty strong card. I said in the last Octillery video that it's been kind of on the fringe of relevance in the meta because of Abyssal Hand. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. Is very, very strong, but a lot of decks just don't have the room to commit to a 2-2 line of support Pokemon. Like running just 2 basics is not a big deal, but having to commit 4 cards of your deck to an Octillery line in order to have any sort of consistency with it is a little bit too much in many cases. So Octillery sees use in some decks, but not a lot. And so I got thinking, what type of situation could Octillery be relevant? And then I got thinking, well, the big problem stems from it being a stage 1. So what if there was a basic Pokemon that did the same thing? I mean, obviously if there was a basic Pokemon that allowed you to draw up until you have 5 cards in your hand, that would be pretty insane once per turn. Because I mean, Shaman only allowed you to do 6 cards once, and if you could continually draw 5 cards, that would be broken. So I was like, okay, let's not do 5 cards. Let's say 4 cards. Say there was a basic Pokemon, you put it onto your bench, and then once per turn you could draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. I know Oranguru is already in the game, and it's seeing some use here and there, but 3 cards, I don't know. That just means that it only works when you have 0 cards, 1 card, or 2 cards in your hand, and that situation really just doesn't come up all that often. So Oranguru really isn't seen all that much. It's seen, actually, I would kind of compare it to Octillery in terms of how much it's seen. But if there was a basic Pokemon that allowed you to draw until you had 4 cards in your hand, how relevant do you think that would be in the meta compared to, like, running Octillery? Honestly, I think it would come down to how good the rest of the card is. Because, okay, say it was just, like, it allowed you to draw until you have 4 cards in your hand, completely irrelevant attack, and like a 3 retreat cost. Then I think people would be a little bit hesitant because, like, oh, well, that's something that can get stuck in the active. I mean, yeah, drawing until you have 4 cards in your hand is nice, but people might not risk it. If it was like a Tapu Koko situation where it allowed you to draw until you have 4 cards in your hand and had an irrelevant attack but had free retreat, then people could spam it in a lot more decks because it's like, okay, if I throw it in there, like, I can draw until I have 4 cards in my hand, but if I start with it or if my opponent Lysandres it up, I just have free retreat, so that's not a big deal at all. So I think it does come down to what the rest of the card can do. It would see some use, but I don't think it would inherently be broken. I think it would rely on how good the rest of the card is, like if it had a decent attack or if it had the free retreat. So if it was draw until you have 4 cards, a basic Pokemon that had heavy retreat cost and not a good attack, I'd say it'd see comparable use to Octillery. Free retreat, I'd say it'd see comparable use to Tapu Koko. Then if it had a decent attack on top of that, then I could see it used in almost every deck. And also depending on what type it was, because if it attacked for Colorless, much like Tapu Koko, then I could see it spammed. But wow, I talked for way too long on that. That's just something that I've been thinking about. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. What type of basic Pokemon with an ability similar to Oranguru could you see be meta impacting, and what would the card have to do in order to have a presence in the meta? But anyway, onto the deck. Like I said, centered around Alolan Ninetales and Octillery. This is kind of reminiscent of the previous deck in that it has the combination of Mallow and Octillery. It's just this deck is a lot less focused on that. It is mainly focused around Alolan Ninetales-GX, just another version of Alolan Ninetales, and I had a lot of fun playing with this deck. This is a very, very cool deck. I had fun testing it, and all that. So yeah, very, very, very fun deck that I encourage you guys to try out if you have the cards to do it. And it only has a couple Lele and a couple... Actually, never mind. You know what? I'm not going to say this is easy to get because, I mean, Lele is stupid expensive at this point. But really, it's just a fun deck overall centered around Ninetales-GX with Blizzard Edge, able to one-shot some stuff with the combination of like Choice Band and Kukui in some situations. Then Ice Blade is just a good sniping attack, and Ice Path is a way of completely healing while knocking out a Pokemon if Ninetales is heavily damaged. And then really just the whole draw support from Octillery and potential draw support of exactly what you want with Mallow is a very strong combination that allows this deck to function well. As for the rest of the Pokemon, running one Tapu Koko because, I mean, again, like I was saying a little bit earlier, free retreat and attacks for Colorless for a DCE, which we run in this deck anyway, so Tapu Koko was just kind of a, you know what? We can throw that in there, spread a little bit of damage, set up knockouts with Blizzard Edge a little bit easier, that type of thing. Two Lele because Lele is just stupidly powerful in this meta right now. Only two of them, just because we want to have a lot of Alolan Ninetales on the bench as well as an Octillery or two, just minimum one, but you can have two because that's, I mean, that's just twice as strong. 4-3 line of Vulpix and Ninetales, only 3 Ninetales-GX because if your opponent knocks out 3, they win the game, and also because the first Vulpix that you send active is usually just going to beacon until it gets knocked out for you to set up, and then from there you just attack with Ninetales. So really, one Vulpix is designated as a support Pokemon, while the others will be evolved into Ninetales. 2-2 of Remoraid and Octillery, just so you can have consistently get an Octillery going. As for the items, we are running 4 Aqua Patch because Ninetales has the nasty discard side effect of Blizzard Edge, which I say nasty, but it's really very, very, very manageable, especially with DCE. But Aqua Patch is a way of discarding energy early on, just attaching that, or discarding energy with Blizzard Edge later, and then reattaching, just continually powering up attackers. Patches are just so ridiculously strong. I know I said ridiculous like 30 times, but patches are incredible. Like, any type that has a patch, that patch is going to be used. One Escape Rope, just because Octillery is pretty heavy, and so, I mean, we don't want to have to... I mean, if we can't draw into a Float Stone, or if they're prized, Escape Rope's a way of getting out of there, and also acting as a pseudo Lysandre. One Field Blower, I don't have the Seeker Rare that I have. I'm too lazy to change it. One Field Blower just so we can have the ability to reuse items, get rid of Choice Bands that would knock out, or that would increase damage done to Alolan Ninetales-GX. One Rescue Stretcher just as a way of Pokemon recursion. 4 Ultra Ball to guaranteed get us which Pokemon we want when we want it. 4 via Seeker, let us reuse all of our supporters, and then as for these supporters, have my standard 3-3-2 line of Sycamore and Lysandre. It's what I'm comfortable with, just good options of shuffle draw, discard draw, and then there's Lysandre because Lysandre is amazing, and also he has the best hair of everybody. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. I take that back. I'm sure there... Actually, you know what? I can't remember. Whatever. There are people with weird hair. I actually might make that a question later. Who has the best hair in Pokemon? But either way, Lysandre is ridiculously powerful, and running 2 of them ensures that having one prize does not leave you in a horrible situation. One Kukui to boost the damage output, potentially with a combination of Choice Band and Kukui. Blizzard Edge is able to get one-shots on all of the... Actually, I think it's all of the Stage 1 EXs and GXs. I think there might be one that I'm forgetting about. But either way, Kukui boosts the damage output, gets some crucial knockouts. Mallow for the combination with Octillery, like I said. One Hex Maniac shuts off our opponent's abilities, just kind of slows them down, just disrupts them, all that good stuff. One Brigette for the immediate Ultra Ball into Lele, into Brigette to get like 2 Vulpix and a Remoraid to get those things set up. Early game, just get our Pokemon out there and going. I love how Brigette has become a really, really meta card. I think that is so cool. 2 Rough Seas, only 2, just because, I mean, really, ultimately just came down to space in the deck. But Rough Seas is definitely one that you want to use just because Ninetales is able to heal itself, have a little bit more longevity, that type of thing. Although be careful, if you're going to use Ice Path on a turn, do not click Rough Seas. Well, I mean, unless you still get an... Okay, I've seen a lot of situations where my opponent is like, oh, I'm probably... Well, at least I'm thinking that they're thinking that they're going to Ice Path GX for a knockout on me, but then they click Rough Seas and miss the knockout. So just be careful about how you play Ice Path GX with the combination of Rough Seas and, well, Ice Path GX. As for the tools, 3 Choice Band and 2 Float Stone. Choice Band just boosts damage output. Float Stone get free retreat. 4 DCE, absolute max number, just because all of our Pokemon, well, all of our attackers use it. This way it's just a 1 energy discard for Blizzard Edge, and then 8 water energy so that we can throw them in the discard pile, have them available for Aqua Patch, but also have them as attachments when we need them. So yeah, that is the deck. I'm done rambling. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Top Trainer 9 with what looks like a, let's see, Psychic, Grass, and Lightning. So, I mean, it's kind of looks like a Tapu Bulu Vikavolt deck, which could actually be very interesting for us to go up against. I mean, yeah, I mean, Ice Path GX will actually be really, really good in this matchup. And, okay, so I get some solid stuff, actually. So what I can do, obviously start Remoraid, because, I mean, we can't otherwise. I can Ultra Ball for Lele and go from there. Yeah, then I can get like a Choice Band onto a Vulpix. My opponent actually just straight Sycamores. Okay, so I mean, Vikavolt confirmed. I mean, you kind of got that confirmed anyway because you saw the Grubbin out initially, but I was kind of hoping to get an idea of whether or not he was running a... Huh, so he plays DCE and he just puts it onto the Grubbin. Could this be a Vikavolt GX deck? Either way, I am just going to go ahead and Lele for the Brigette so I can get some setup going immediately. I mean, Lele into Brigette is so ridiculously powerful. Let's grab 2 Vulpix and a Koko because I'm in love with the Koko. Sorry for that. That was an awful joke. But let's go ahead and just retreat into the Vulpix. Choice Band up the Vulpix that's on the bench. That way that thing's not in danger at all. And then let's beacon for probably just 2 Ninetales, maybe? Yeah, I think that's the play. It looks like I have one prized, so hopefully this Vulpix doesn't go anywhere. But yeah, I mean, if I can just keep my hand, I'll be able to get 2 Ninetales, an Octillery, all up on turn 2, which is perfect, and he actually just goes Grubbin. Wow, so that's all my opponent can do. He must not have much of anything at all. No. Why? Why would you end? My hand was so good. Well, I mean, that's exactly why you would end, but still. Oh, crap. So, not only does he end me out of that perfect hand, but he ends me into a hand where my only supporter is Kukui, as Orobomb hates that I call it. So, of course, I'm just going to call it Kukui all the time, just to annoy him. But, okay, so he's going to be able to Strong Jaws me. I mean, it's not going to matter because I can still evolve it. I need a DCE. I really need a DCE. Oh, wait, he can Electro Ball for 50. Duh, sorry. Completely forgot about its second attack, and I get a Lysandre. So, first things first. Aqua Patch onto Vulpix, evolve the Vulpix that is on the bench. Evolve the Octillery. Might as well just power up the Ninetales on the bench, and then let's Abyssal Hand because... Well, okay, there we go. There's a DCE. So I'm actually going to try to buy time at this point. Let's bring in the Grubbin. And then let's just go for a Beacon, grab a Ninetales. And actually a Ninetales and a Vulpix are prized too. So let's grab another Remoraid because why the heck not? What I can do if my opponent, actually if he attacks me I die, so I can't do that. I can always just evolve up the active, attach to the active, and then start going for Ice Blades. And even, well, actually with the Kukui I could get a knockout onto this Grubbin this turn with an Ice Blade. So I mean that's something at the very least. My opponent is going to go ahead and Skyla. Must not have had any other supporters, or maybe they have a Vikavolt and a supporter in hand and they just want to go ahead and get the rare candy because I'm obviously having a little bit of trouble setting up, and so they're going to take advantage of that, which is definitely the 100% correct play. I mean, there's no two ways about it. That is the correct way to go about it. If it looks like there's a slow setup, you might as well not just risk drawing into it. You might as well go, okay, guaranteed get what I want. then I can go for a Sycamore and get a fresh hand. So, okay, we actually see the Ultra Ball. Maybe my opponent has the rare candy and they just need the Vikavolt. Or they're playing Shaman, at which point that would actually be pretty nice because then I can... Then Shaman's just like two... What? Maybe he Ultra Balled for a... Actually, I have no idea at this point. I really don't. Maybe he Ultra Balled for a... He's going to Ultra Ball for a Lele, but since he already played a supporter for the turn, he's not going to do that. So I could Kukui and get a knockout on the Grubbin. I really could. Question is, do I want to just Sycamore for a new hand? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I could have gotten the knockout on the Grubbin, but at this point, I really just want to get some setup going. Let's get the Rough Seas, start healing up my Ninetales, and let's Ultra Ball, get rid of both ends to grab another Octillery. Can't play it this turn, but I can play it next turn. Let's Float Stone up the Remoraid, and then Abyssal Hand to get a couple more cards, see if it's something good. Get an Aqua Patch and a Water Energy. Well, that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and Ice Blade. Let's Ice Blade the Grubbin, because if I Ice Blade the Charge Bug, then he's immediately just going to be able to heal 30 damage of that with Rough Seas, so it really wouldn't be that beneficial overall for me to do. So I'm just going to go with the Grubbin play. If he evolves into Charge Bug or Vikavolt, then that does kind of ruin my well, fact that I didn't go for the Charge Bug and just went for the Grubbin play, because he can still heal up with Rough Seas. But otherwise, I think we're in a good spot. We have a Ninetales that can just Ice Blade, and he does play Shaman. Well, that's going to be an Ice Blade target as well. Oh, Field Blower comes out. Well, at least he has enough targets with Field Blower to where he might leave my Rough Seas in play. Maybe. Okay, well, he gets rid of the Choice Band and the Rough Seas, and... Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that, because I always have another Rough Seas. My Choice Band isn't super necessary. It's definitely nice. But otherwise, I don't necessarily need it at this point, because I'm still going to be one-shotting the Shaman. Ice Blade... If I Koko into 2 Ice Blades on Shaman, that could be an easy knockout. And he does get the Float Stone. So if he retreats into his charge... Okay, he's going to retreat into his Koko and just start spreading 20 damage. If I can get a Rough Seas, he will basically have just done 20 to my... he'll basically have just done 20 to my Lele. So that'll be kind of nice. And if he... One play that I could make... Oh wait, I don't have a DCE. I was going to say, one play I could make if he retreats into his Koko is if I get a DCE, I can retreat into my own Koko, which I do get. I get a couple DCEs. So that's very much a play I could make. Okay, never mind. I was about to say I could retreat into my Koko, knock out the Grubbin on the bench with a flying flip, but unfortunately my opponent does. Okay, so yeah, it is Vikavolt GX. So unfortunately my opponent does do what his deck is supposed to do. I mean, who actually does what their deck is supposed to do anymore? I mean, come on now. Gets a Choice Band onto Koko. Could be a little bit of a problem. So what I think... Yeah, he's just going to Flying Flip, put some damage on the board. That's okay at this point. I get another Octillery, so that's pretty nice. Let's DCE up this Ninetales on the bench. Get an Octillery. And then what do I want to do? I mean, I could Lysandre up something and... I mean, I could Lysandre up Shaman and get a knockout on it. That's an option that I have. Which... I might just go ahead and do. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring up the Shaman. Abyssal Hand, see if I can get, like, something else. It's a VS Seeker, so that's not helpful. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and heal up myself completely with Ice Path GX. Set the Shaman up to be knocked out by an Ice Blade. later in the game when he retreats. I mean, basically, Shaman was the best mon to have my GX attack go on to. Like, all my damage, Shaman was the best Pokemon to have that all go on to. Because at this point, like, I was at an awkward spot. I didn't want to stay having 70 damage on me because that's somewhat in range of Vikavolt. But at the same time, I didn't want to just... I don't know. It was a tricky situation. I still think my best play was to Ice Path onto the Shaman. And... I mean, now that my opponent is going to Flying Flip me again, I kind of sort of question it a little bit, because what I could have done is just waited. Like, I could have just Ice Bladed the Tapu Lele, but then he would have been able to knock me out with Vikavolt. No, I still think that was the right play, because now it forces him to go into Koko in order to attack me again and put me in range of Vikavolt. So yeah, I still think that was the right play. And then if I draw into a Rough Seas, I will be able to heal up the damage on Ninetales to be out of range of Vikavolt GX once again. So yeah, that was the right play. So I was questioning it a little bit, because it was kind of like well, had I waited one turn, I could have completely healed myself and put all the damage onto Shaman for a knockout. Yeah, but at the same time, then my opponent, I mean, we saw that he got a baby Vikavolt. All he would have had to do was get the energy onto the Vikavolt GX, retreat into that, and then knock me out. So yeah, I stand by my play. That was the correct play. And, well, I get an Ultra Ball. I mean, I'm going to be Sycamoring away my hand anyway, so I might as well just discard some stuff. It's Ultra Ball, get nothing. That was just kind of a see what's in my deck, thin it out a little bit, DCE up the Tapu Koko. Let's go ahead and shuffle back in the Lele, because you never know when a Lele is going to come in handy. Let's Abyssal Hand. See if I can maybe get a Mallow or something like that. I do not. I do get a Rough Seas, so that is fantastic, actually. And I even get a Hex Maniac. So there's something I could actually do. I mean, I was planning on just going ahead and Sycamoring this turn. But the fact that I have Hex Maniac... Do I want to just go ahead and Ice Blade? Yeah, let's go ahead and Ice Blade the Shaman. I decided against Hex Maniacing, just cause. I really don't see a big need to do it. And I even get an Alolan Vulpix. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, he will be able to heal up his Vikavolt. But my targeting down of that Vikavolt has come and gone. I really don't have any desire to target that thing down anymore. He can once again Flying Flip, but what I might just do is continually target down the Lele. Just Ice Blade the Lele, put it in range of my attack from my other Ninetales. And yeah, so good spot right now. I might just attach the DCE to my other... I might just attach a DCE to my Lele. Have all four in play, and he's... Ooh, if he has... Yeah, he can get a knockout with Tapu Koko this turn. Okay, well, I regret not going for Hex Maniac. That was a dumb play. I really had... See, the only reason I didn't play it was because I was like, okay, this won't be the opportune turn to do it. But as it turns out, it 1000% was the opportune turn, because now he's going to be able to get a knockout with Tapu Thunder when he would not have been able to otherwise. Yeah, that was a dumb play. Really should have Hex Maniac'd. Oh well. Well, actually, I'm actually getting nervous, because I'm hoping that's not going to end up costing me. Because had I Hex Maniac, this play would not have happened, and I would have gotten another Ice Blade onto Tapu Lele. Oh no, is he going to Lysandre in my powered up Ninetales? If he does, yes he is. That's good play. But luckily I have 2 Aqua Patches in hand, so it's really not going to do much of anything for him. So sorry about it, dude. It's actually not going to help you. Oh, that's awesome. What I am going to do is just promote one of my free retreating Octillery. Yeah, and I have an Escape Rope, so I can force... Yeah, let's go ahead and just Aqua Patch. Let's Aqua Patch twice onto this Ninetales. I mean, just It's another attacker that I can go with. Do I want to Escape Rope? That's the question. So there's only one DC in the discard pile. I'm going to go ahead and put it on... Or do I kind of want to sit on it? Let's Abyssal Hand for 1. See what we get. We get a Water Energy. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the Vulpix just cuz. Let's Abyssal Hand again. See if I can get maybe a Mallow or something. No, I get another VS Seeker. Well, that's something. I'm going to go ahead and just Kukui. I was trying to see if I could grab a Choice Band, and there's a Mallow. A little bit late, but let's go ahead and Blizzard Edge. Knock out this Tapu Koko. Discard the DCE, and yeah, now I'm 2 prizes away from winning. If I get a Choice Band and if I get a Choice Band, I can win with my VS Seeker for Lysandre, bring up the Lele, and knock that thing out to win the game. Otherwise, Ninetales is out of range of a non-choice banded Vikavolt right now, which is nice. But we know that my opponent does play Vikavolt. My opponent does play Vikavolt, duh. My opponent does play Choice Band because, I mean, there's one attached to Tapu Koko. And what's my opponent's play? He could... He's just attaching another DCE onto his Vikavolt. What's his play? If he's able to strong charge a Lightning onto Vikavolt GX, then that could be bad. Ooh, he goes for Hex Maniac of his own. I mean, is he planning to couple that with N? Because I'm not in a spot to use Abyssal Hand right now, I'll be honest. Yeah, he does just Hex Maniac, and then he's going to Flying Flip. That's okay with me. Because what I can do... So I need 10 damage already on the Lele. So I think the play is actually... How am I going to do this? So I think the play... Well, first of all, it's Ultra Ball, get rid of Hex Maniac and Alolan Vulpix, because neither of those are doing anything. Just have one less card I can draw into. There are 2 Choice Bands still in my deck at this point. What I can do is... Okay, I think the play is to Escape Rope into Tapu Koko. Yeah, I think the play is to Escape Rope into Koko, be able to Flying Flip for 20, put that damage onto the Lele. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to go into Tapu Koko, put 20 damage on the Lele with Flying Flip. If he knocks out Tapu Koko, it's not a big deal. Otherwise, I can just knock him out next turn with my... I can just Lysandre up the Lele next turn and knock it out with Ninetales. The thing is, do I want to Mallow as well? Or do I want to N? And also, do I want to play the DCE right now? I have so many questions right now. But I think the play right now is to Mallow. Let's grab the Choice Band and the Field Blower. Yeah. Let's put the Choice Band and Field Blower on top just cause that way, I mean, maybe I can do some shenanigans with, if he brings up Vikavolt GX, maybe I can do some shenanigans with Choice Band and Kukui for Blizzard Edge. No, I don't think that'd be enough. Never mind. Basically, I just put Choice Band on top because I wanted to not only get rid of the, to play down the Mallow, have one less card in my deck, but also draw into it. Then again... No, because I need a VS Seeker. I need a Lysandre to win, so using Mallow as a supporter isn't even an option. So yeah. Using Mallow to at least thin the deck a little bit and rearrange it, at the very least, is something I can do. And this way, my opponent has to either... Wow. So I was going to say my opponent has to either Lysandre or end me in order to, well, he has to one or the other. If he Lysandres me, then I get the card off the top of my deck. If he ends me, well, then he can't Lysandre me. And yeah, he does just knock out my Tapu Koko. I'm going to play the DC onto my Ninetales via Seeker for a Lysandre to bring up the Lele and win this game. So this was actually a very, very, very intense game that we were luckily able to pull out. Ninetales came through in the end. Tapu Koko even kind of came through in the end, just getting that little extra damage that I wanted on Lele. I mean, even though I did draw into a Choice Band in the end, so ultimately Tapu Koko's contribution was kind of null and void and really didn't do much. But you know what, Tapu Koko, you are still a hero in my heart. Alolan Ninetales-GX just went through. Octillery with Abyssal Hand was amazing. I wasn't able to show off the combination of Mallow and Octillery that I really wanted to, but you know what? Still worked out. We won the game, doing a ton less damage than my opponent, actually. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.